Sige. Yours. Sige,
Uh,
ako ba?
di ako na. So okay. Today, guys, we'll be discussing about what what a good action is, and for me, an example that I would give is helping other people um, is is a good example of a good action, because majority of the time, when you help other people, um, you also take some of their problems, and you also help in fixing them. So I think um, it is necessary. Sometimes it is necessary, and I think most of the time it is also sufficient to be a good action.
Although, like, what if? So you said that if you help other people, it's good. So what if you're helping a bank robbery? Is that considered good?
Hmm, I guess not then.
Or
Okay.
next? Who's
Well,
next?
What would you consider as helping someone that is actually not a good action? You guys, what do you think about that? Like, what action would I mean, what act would define that?
Hmm.
Uh,
wait, I'm sorry, can you repeat? I didn't understand it.
The question. What action of helping do you think would not be a good action?
Uh, like siguro yung example na binigay ni Miko kanina, when it's it's a bad thing na you help a person, then I think hindi siya morally good, pero siguro good na lang sa tao na tutulungan mo. So yun.
So, Miguel, we're talking about helping other people. What if you're in good faith? Let's say a person tells you na, all right, please uh, deposit this huge amount of money. Pero you don't know that this person is a drug lord, then he's letting you deposit this huge amount of money sa bank, and then uh, so para money launder, so para malinis yung pera. Now, in your side, since you don't know naman na he's a drug lord, would it still be considered a good action if you acted in good faith?
Okay. Good question yan. Siguro if sa perspective, what if may third party perspective ka, you'll see it as good pa rin. Kasi yun, di mo naman alam yung intent nung isang yung the other individual. So for it, I think considering na siguro perspective pa rin plays a major role. So and yung intent. So I think yun yung mga instances na I think helping is still considered good kahit magiging mali pa rin siya in the long term.
So I
I,
or
I feel like naman na parang it also depends on the person you're helping and the intention, the outcome of parang of or result of you helping that person. Kunyari, you're helping the drug lord. You don't know that he's a drug lord. So I think if you if you don't know what if you don't know who what if you don't know that the guy is a drug lord, I think you're still doing good
yeah,
To
kasi you don't know rin.
because you don't have an idea of what the intention of that person is. You're just trying to help.
Yeah, it's
So,
good.
but if you, for example, you're a beggar, you're helping that, and it's obvious that he's a beggar. I think that's what you call, parang, that's what you can consider that as a good action because you know the result or outcome of what helping of helping the beggar. That's wrong. Yeah.
Tama.
So I think that brings us back to um, the questioning of what is right and wrong, right? So, like for me, in that case, like when you're helping someone, you don't even know that much. I think that that makes you what do you call that? Uh, someone who's not wise, who's not careful. So I think that it really brings us back to the. Wait lang, nawala ako sa- I think that really brings us back to the questioning of uh, what should we do in a situation wherein we are asked to help someone and that action. Wait muna.
Ay, okay.
I mean, as a person, di ba? Like as a person, you should question someone when someone's trying to ask for your help. Like you should ask him like, um, what's the purpose of this? Like, what would you, um, what's the, what do you call that? Uh, like, is the intent good? Um, basta it's like you should always try to make sure of what you're doing. Like you should ask someone about the details, like why am I helping you? What should I help? What am I helping you with? Ganon. Because like in the end, if you don't question that, you're still to blame because you were not careful. Well, for me, you're still to blame of your actions when you're not that careful. So I think that it's really not a good action to just um, accept. Accept someone asking for help without even considering like the consequences of what you did. You know? So you should
Or
always be careful.
say, who wants to share next? Like their thing.
Next example naman.
So for me naman, a good action is parang actions that produce the less harm. Have you guys encountered yung ethical question na? Yung railroad, like
Ah,
helping one person
yung
and
which one
Yeah,
you save.
like the five
yeah.
people like that. Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what the answer to that is because my whole high school parang that has been brought up every year. Like so I forgot what subject that was. So what do you guys think about like that ethical question or situation?
Mm,
Like it I think this one person has call that is parang uh he has high social status ba? Parang ganun. And it's either you help him or help for citizens or yun. So I don't know what your
consider na
point of view is. So what would you guys do? Would you help the person with high social status or help those poor?
mm,
Mm, Personally, I don't know. Like if maybe if like the scenario is like a family member versus like 5 other people, I mean, syempre, I would sacrifice the other 5 people and save my family. But then, like, if yung a person na social status, I don't know, kind of depends if like di ko naman kilala yung guy. So stuff. So, I don't know.
Ako, I think it's
So
still
yun,
good.
it goes back to the ano, parang knowing the knowing
Ewan yan. What's that? Ano ulit?
go lang.
Ah, okay. Yung kanina, I think good pa rin yung gagawin mo. Kasi even though may mamamatay na isa,
You save the
kasi
other. Yeah.
kasi you're just choosing kung sino yung pipiliin mong mabuhay, pero the act na the act the yung principle na gagawin mong to save someone is already good, but yung consequences nga lang is that you can only save
Yeah.
one.
You can't save everyone, yeah.
Well, I think yung in that situation, we're faced with the dilemma. You save the other one will die. So I think it's more of a 50-50, I guess. Kasi if na-save mo yung isang tao, you'll feel happy for him. And then at the same time, you feel bad for the other party. Kasi he died because of you then. Parang you'll blame yourself. You'll blame yourself. Parang there will be guilt inside of you. Even though I saved the other one, pero namatay naman isa. So it's really, you're really put into a dilemma for me. So, well, in terms of social status naman, I think it's a little bit hard kasi medyo, I think we'll go to deeper talk regarding it. Pero for me naman, if hindi social status, like what Miko said a while ago, no? If family member go and then another person, of course, I'll go with my family member because if we're talking about good action, I think that's really the best answer is saving my family member compared to a certain individual na hindi ko naman kilala. So, yun yung stand ko.
Does anyone want to add or
Sige, go.
add or move na? Like
Pero
next
wait lang.
May add ka ba, Lori?
I agree with what Hesed said, but I disagree with what he said about the railroad problem. Na since one is gonna die, it's gonna be your fault that he dies. Diba sabi mo, Hesed, that
Yeah.
yeah, you are to blame for the death of the other person. But for me, I don't think that if you choose someone over the other person, I don't think you are to blame for that because you're just there to help. You only have one choice. Yeah. So I don't think that choosing someone over another person makes you someone I makes make I blame I may makes you blamable for the other person's death. For me, since you only have one choice and you're just there to help, you can't save the two people. So I don't agree with that you are to blame. So I think that it's still a good action to help one even though you couldn't help the other one.
Yeah, I agree naman. Yeah, I agree. For me na naman, my stand was, I think yung guilt lang naman sa atin. So, yeah, I agree with you, Laurie.
But for example, kasi my definition of a good action is yung an action that produces the least harm. So if you save your family, like a family member or family members, parang isn't that greedy na like kaya you have 4 people. Ay, the one person is a family member of yours. Isn't that like greedy and parang uh won't it just cause the least harm for you? Gets ba? You guys get it ba?
Yeah, I get what you mean. But like, I don't know. I don't think naman we live kasi to satisfy other people. So like, yes, that's how I think of things. So, syempre, I'll choose what's going to be more beneficial for me. Syempre, like, I'd rather save my family rather than strangers. Because, yun nga, I don't live naman to satisfy other people na I don't know. So, yeah. Syempre, family naman. So, yeah, you know. Yun lang.
Mm.
How about you guys?
Okay.
Gets.
Well,
I think
sige,
sige.
Miguel. Sige, ikaw muna, Miguel. Ikaw muna.
uh, I think I will do the opposite na choice. Hindi naman, I don't want to be like parang yung maging hero or something like that kasi at the end, yung hero kasi yung nagsasuffer. So, pero if in a situation na if there are more people on the other side na mamamatay, let's say kuwari 100, and then there's yung relative mo on the other side, pero isa lang siya. I think baka I'll still choose yung 100 people. Pero syempre it would be a very very talagang forceful na out of my comfort zone na parang ganun.
So, paano kung 5 people lang? Will you choose?
So kay Miguel,
Yeah.
1:100. Gets ba? 1:100
Oo.
dapat.
Yeah.
So if 99 relative pa rin. Joke lang. Joke lang.
Hindi naman.
Joke lang.
Yes.
Pero
I
yun nga.
get your point. Yeah.
Yung least harm. Pero paano yun? Like, least harm sa mga tao besides you. Pero yun yung pero it's pinaka-harmful naman sa'yo because pinili mo yung ibang tao other than your relative. So parang ikaw yung pinaka nasaktan, I guess. Ganun.
Yung disadvantage.
Gets.
Paano mo? Is it still good? Parang gano'n. I don't know. Parang feel ko good naman din. By his example.
Okay, so do we move on to the next example?
Wala nang gusto mo. Ako wala na ako i-add.
Okay, we can move na if you guys want.
Sige.
Mine naman is, an action is good if and only if it does not violate the set of rules of behavior that is generally accepted in a community. So, for me, that's kind of like, that's what I thought, but then it's kind of difficult kasi knowing that we all have different personalities and we have like a different set of cultures. So like, if I'll do something that's not good, but is not generally accepted by like a few people, so it's kind of hard to judge what to do. So yeah. What do you guys think?
I'm thinking something.
Siguro, sige, I'll add din muna. Siguro, one thing I can ask is, for example, di ba, like what Nico said, na when it's a set of rules that are accepted in the community. So, medyo parallel lang din siya sa question ko kay Miguel a while ago. Let's say you're in a good faith din na you don't know the set of rules, then you accidentally violated one rule. So, and then you said naman na, sorry, I don't know the rules here. Can it still be considered a good action?
So like you don't know like everything, like 100% the details.
Yeah, you don't know the details of
I think it's good kasi like parang you're being nice like as like a first course of action gets. Kasi like parang example, like when we ask na parang, can you help me, blah, 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 and like this thing, then we don't say naman the complete details. Like we're just asking because we're just helping because that's the right thing to do, right? But then it's difficult, right? Because we don't really know like the true intentions of that thing is. So yeah.
Um, add to that, like an action is good if and only if, like, siguro one example of that is like pareho nung earlier times, um, 'di ba, the LGBT community is still not accepted. Before was still not accepted, and some people are trying to help those people, the LGBT community, to have a voice, to be accepted in the community. And siguro, 'di ba, like in the movies, in situations like that, people who support the community, the LGBT community, were considered as people who tolerate evil daw. So, what do you guys think about that? Like, if the certain rules of that community was to not accept the LGBT community, is it considered a bad action if someone supports that community? Since ano din, like those people were still close-minded, so you really can't blame them 100% for not accepting the LGBT community, because they're uneducated about that, they're open-minded, they can't relate. So what do you guys think about that?
I think like, I can bring back my point na it's really difficult to satisfy everyone. Kasi like like we all see life differently. Like we all have our different perspectives and point of views. So like for me naman, I'll just like respect na lang what like the decision that people make. Na parang I'll just like be open-minded to it and like I won't judge. So parang I'll just like respect na lang what they do. Kasi I also have like I do things differently than naman from other people. So yeah, that's all. Anyone else?
Uh, well, well, I do agree with Miko. Well, of course, as this generation now, LGBT, they're growing, but I think they also have their own community. That's what, and they have their sets of rules, like what Miko said. So I think the bottom line is we just need to respect each and everyone, since like what he said a while ago naman, we all have different perspectives and different beliefs in life. So yun yung stand ko.
Siguro din, like, 'di ba? Because I was talking about like the the past, like before LGBT community was accepted. Sorry. Before LGBT community was accepted, 'di ba? They weren't considered as good people. People were judging them and telling them that they're what do you call that? Some would even call them antichrist, right?
Mm.
Right. So it's good to know that they're slowly um, they're slowly trying to become more accepted. Like the community, the society is slowly accepting them, and that speaks a lot about how how the how the how the development or the growth of our society is becoming better. Since before, there were a limited set of rules that made people more restricted, felt more restricted. And now that people are becoming more open-minded, the rules are like diminishing. I think that's what made the LGBT community become accepted. Like because of the the growth of our society. Yun.
Ako, I think yung claim is, I think it's true talaga. Because iniisip ko kanina, is it, di ba yung sinasabi ni Sir na if X is Y, ganito, it needs to be parang necessary and sufficient. I think if you support the community, LGBT community, I think it is sufficient enough for them na tinutulungan mo sila, and then it's good. Pero meron nga yung advocacy na with yung in our generation today na some people who support LGBT community, yung mga nag-advocate, they want people na yun nga yung mga close-minded to accept them, which is parang nilalagay nila sa position na it is necessary na natanggapin mo yung LGBT community or else canceled ka, which
Yeah.
is which is yun yung naiisip ko.
Cancel culture pa naman.
Yeah, which is, I think it is not that siguro sa kanila hindi naman necessary natanggapin yung LGBT community just to be a good person. Pero I think overall, bakit hindi ka tatanggap ng tao, or bakit mag-outcast ka sa tao na hindi naman nila pinili maging ganun. Like, di ba, gender is not, hindi naman,
Yeah, we can't
hindi
choose.
nila nakokontrol yan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think still, it is still necessary then at some point na you accept them, even if you're like close-minded, even if you're a close-minded person, para maging good individual ka, ganun.
Yeah. Nice.
Siguro what you mean is wait lang muna ako. Siguro what you mean is if someone disagrees with how the LGBT community like paano nila dinadala yung community itself. Like if someone is closed-minded, siguro they should try to keep it to themselves. Ganun. Ganyan ba yung minimin mo? Like it's okay to not have the same views as those who support the community, the LGBT community, but as a person then it's not good to fight that community from growing, from being accepted, even though you don't agree with them completely. Siguro ganun yung minimin mo.
Like, dapat
Yeah,
at some point, kasi syempre as a person din, you can't keep parang denying people you can't keep denying people, especially yung mga circumstances na out of their control, ganun. Like yung sexuality. So, even what if first hindi mo naman necessarily sinusupport them to be a good person, pero at some point, di ba, parang gusto mo ba talaga maging close-minded na hindi tumatanggap? I think it's necessary din para sa'yo to be an overall good person para tanggapin sila. Ganun.
Any more thoughts?
Wait lang. I think the communities that don't support yung LGBTQ community, I think there's a reason to that. I think kasi LGBT, yung LGBTQ group, I think sometimes kasi they, they're, they force people to accept them. Tama ba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even though, for example lang naman, I don't support LGBTQ, I don't support the LGBTQ community, but they force me to, parang, I'm minding my own business, but they force me to, like, support them. Parang, I think that's why the groups or communities that don't support LGBTQs are formed, because like yung groups, they force themselves to people, even though those people are just minding their own business. Gets ba? I think that's one reason to it.
Yeah, it's not necessary for people support to
Yeah.
support that community.
Yeah.
It's just that yung people na di nagsusupport, they should just let them be. Ganun. But if you're part of the LGBT community, you shouldn't force other people to support to support your community just because you're in that, 'di ba? Like you should let them be and they should let you be. Ganun lang. Like live separate lives. Ganun.
Yeah.
Yun ba?
Yeah. Yeah. Tama.
Moving on.
Okay, so next topic. So, okay, for me, uh, mine is very simple. An action is good if and only if we don't hurt others' feelings or hurt them physically. So for me kasi, of course, I've seen many people na whose feelings have been hurt by other people because of saying bad things or uh, talagang mga strong words na talagang na feel down yung tao. So for me, kaya I also see many people talagang being sobrang hitting rock bottom because of the good words na hindi nila of the bad words na naririnig nila. So I think for me that's my stand na that's my belief. I'm sorry na an action is good if and only if we don't hurt others' feelings.
Pero what if like what they've said they didn't really mean to offend you, but you were offended just because you were sensitive. What if that's the situation?
Okay, so I think I think we can't blame the other party in that situation. Kasi if their goal naman is not to offend, of course, we all have misunderstanding. But I think if the other party is not doesn't mean to offend the other party, then but the other party feels offended, I think it's slightly or I think it's still acceptable because hindi naman sinasadya ng other party. And of course, we all have different thoughts, no? If I feel offended pero yung nagsabi naman sa akin hindi naman daw niya intention na ma-offend ako. So I think that's still acceptable.
So no one, so you can blame no one for that, diba?
Yeah, I
You
think
can't blame the other person from being offended, and you can't blame the other person from saying that because it's not in his intentions to hurt you.
yeah. I think may mga I think we all have that misunderstanding kasi I've been through a lot of experiences na I thought na galit sa akin. Of course, porket malakas na yung boses na pagsabi sa akin, akala ko galit na. But I'm wrong na when I talked to her, she said na I just have a loud voice talaga and I didn't really mean to scold you or be harsh on you. So I think we all have different belief and different thoughts in our mind. So
Anyone want to add? I have nothing to add. It's the same thoughts.
I think medyo accepted na din talaga yun.
So should we move to the next? Yung
Oh.
discussion about the film.
Oh yeah, yung last point na.
Okay.
Lahat pa tayo like nakawatch.
Hmm.
I can start. I think like what caught my attention the most was when the kid said na there are like some people or things who are just plain lost. So when I heard that's like wow. Because you can I have friends like who get lost when so but I think for me like the best course of action is like to be nice lang talaga and be patient with them and help them like get back on the right track. So like in the film naman you can see na the kid was very patient. He tried his best to help. Then at the end of the day, like he was able to find the thing, his home. So yeah, like for me, just it's like being nice to people can go a long way. Then yeah, like it can really change their lives. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, so ako naman. For the... Alright, sige, sige. For me, dun sa film, The Lost One, for me, one thing na na-attract ako is when many people are not hindi nila pinapansin yung item and yung kid lang yung namansin. So for me, I think yung nakuha kong story is that we're always too focused on ourselves na we really don't care what's happening around us, na what kind of thing na lumalabas na kung saan-saan sa paligid. So for me, yun na yung nakuha. That's what I got from the story is that we're all too focused on ourselves, and because we're all too focused on ourselves, we really don't see the things that are happening around us.
Like, madaming metaphors na ma-relate dun sa movie, di ba? Like, for example, for me yung metaphor na ma-relate ko dyan is, you know, like, di ba, as we grow up, like, we start to forget about the simple joys in life. Like, yun yung nakuha ko dyan. Like, pansin nyo, like, in the movie, the other people couldn't see that thing, and they all look so lifeless, they all look so sad. And sa kid na yun, like the main character in the story, he saw that thing because siguro he still had hope. That's why he saw that, and he was playing with that thing. He was trying to help. Siguro in a sense that he can see himself in that thing then. Like he felt lost, but he still had hope. So he was also trying to find a home for that lost thing because siguro he himself, he doesn't know where he belongs. Ganon. And di ba pansin nyo when they finally found the secret place where all things belong, after that, sabi niya, what did he say? Nung nasa train na siya, he said that
And he still thinks
lost
about
things,
it. Yeah.
lost things.
Hindi na niya napapansin ata. Like,
He couldn't see lost things anymore. Like, decreasing na daw yung numbers ng mga lost things na nakikita niya. Siguro ano yan, like metaphor na siya din mismo na grow up na. And it slowly made him forget about, you know, the little things in life, the simple joys in life. Ganun. Like, that's the metaphor I found in that film.
For me naman, I think the most the most important thing I got from the movie is like helping others who feel like they don't belong. Like find the place where they belong. Gets ba? Because
Yeah.
I I'm from Baguio, so
Mm.
I transferred to Manila just for senior high sa Green Hills. So parang uh at first I was lost, like the lost thing, but like people, I I found I found people that helped me, parang guided me, and yun, I feel like I belong. Parang I feel like I belong to, eh, what do you call it? I feel like I'm in a better group in Manila than my group here in Baguio, because I think the I think Manila people are more accommodating. Yun.
Mm.
So yeah, I think I found where I really belong.
Um, for me, siguro, as the last point na din, the one thing I found good in the film was, well, he found the home for the lost thing, and I think it was good that he bothered to help. He bothered to find a home for the lost thing, even though almost all of the people, um, almost all of most of the people around him did not even bother or has no idea where to place the thing. I think that in itself was already a good action for him. Pero it doesn't mean naman na the people who did not bother to help were bad. Because ano din, kasi nakita ko din, and in the end, na-mention din na yung yung boy na when he grew up, he was focused on doing his own things. Um, nandun na lagi attention niya, and then hindi na niya masyado napapansin yung mga other things na kamukha nung nakita niya on that summer. So, hindi naman din siya naging masama, as to say, because he helped those things too. Pero I think um, it's a matter of it doesn't matter naman din na for other people to be good just to help. Pero since he bothered to help and he found a home for him, I think he was the better person for the rest. Parang ganun.
Okay, so
Yeah.
lastly. Okay, so for the
Uh,
last discussion. Oh, sige, go muna, Loli.
okay, sorry. Kasi I agree with what Miguel said, that since the boy was trying to find a home for the lost thing, he was a good person for that. Kasi it's really hard to 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 fit in agad. So what he did was like really good, because he was thinking about that lost things feelings. And siguro 'di ba, not everyone is that open, that courageous to find, to test out where they belong. Kasi 'di ba, everything and everyone has, a place in the world. Pero some people may have to look a little harder to find their place than others. So I guess that in that sense, um, it's really good that the boy helped him, because it's hard for people sometimes to find where they fit in, diba? And although ganyan yung life, like we have to find, although ganyan na we need to find some place where we belong in, we shouldn't rush that process. Since if i-rush kasi natin, like if i-rush natin yung pag-find ng place where we belong to, parang nawawala yung essence of life, of discovery, ganun. Like, we will lose track of what it means to um, really live a full life. Wherein you learn, wherein you grow, ganun.
Okay, so for the last naman is yung thoughts on the value of philosophy. So, okay, so to start, one thing that I got from there is I like the quotation na philosophy doesn't give us a specific answer. So one thing I learned from there is that philosophy is there, but and at the same time it also helps us to understand why things exist, like why, for example, why 1 + 1 = 2. So like what Sir said now. So it doesn't just give us specific answers, but it gives us reasons behind those answers that we are searching for. So that's what I got from the value of philosophy.
For
I totally
me,
like. Oh, sige, Lori first. Sorry. So Lori.
ano una Miko?
Okay. So the quote that I like is, if we are not to fail in our endeavor to determine the value of philosophy, we must first free our minds from the prejudices of what are wrongly called practical men. So for me, like what I learned here is that we really have to be open-minded to fully understand different people, because like it said here, parang the wrongly called practical men. So for us, like we may consider ourselves like correct, and like and we have like all our own different opinions on other people. Now we might think that is wrong. So but then like we all come up from different places, and we all have like our own like the like we all live differently. So to fully understand philosophy, I think like we just have to fully accept other people to like be able to maximize what philosophy really is. So yeah, parang just we really have to be open minded to fully understand other people. So yeah.
To add to that, that can be related to the quote I chose, which is, philosophy keeps alive that speculative interest in the universe, diba? Kasi which would die off if we were ever totally committed to questions that have proven answers, diba? So I can relate that to the question of Sir na what is a chair, diba? So if you ask a normal person, like someone who can see the chair, they would say that it's a solid object that someone could sit on, ganun. But for someone who can't see a chair, like someone who's blind, they couldn't define in they couldn't define it in that way, since they couldn't see it. And I guess that can be related to our last discussion of morality, the about um how how we how we think what is right or wrong may be different from what other people think, like from other people who came from a different setting, who live with a different set of values, or some people who were isolated from society. So I guess it can be related to that. So yeah, I agree with what Miko said, that we should always be open-minded and we should always accept what other people think about certain matters, since we since everyone came from a different setting, different values. We all have different opinions, and that came from how we grew up, like how we developed as a person. And you can't really force your own perspective to other people, since not everyone can see it that way. Not everyone thinks like that. Not everyone has the same situation. Maybe you can relate to that, but they couldn't. So yeah, you just have to be open minded all the time, even though you think that you're smart, you know everything. Ganun. You really can't say na you know everything. That's why, you just have to always be open minded and accept other people's opinions and thoughts without affecting your own perspective. Hmm? Sige. Any other thoughts?
Ano na lang
O
siguro,
ano na?
I'll add to the last point na din. Because I haven't given mine. So, yung favorite, my chosen quote is yung those questions which are already capable of definite answers are placed in the sciences, while those only to which at present no while those only at which at present has no definite answer can be given remain to form the residue which is called philosophy. And what it says is that um, the answers that you seek that have definite answers, for example, 1 plus 1, uh, and those have already definite answers in our and it you can find them in our subjects which were already um, had had been studied by fellow by the first people who were interested in those field of study. Pero the one question, I mean, not one question, other, but some questions that are very deep that sciences cannot answer are being determined by philosophy. And an example would be is yung a general question is what is life, ganon. 'Di ba hindi mo naman mahahanap yung sagot doon on science or on other subjects. So I think laging yun yung laging first questions about philosophy. And I think it helps to define what that question, what the answer to that question is, pero still hindi pa rin siya magkakaroon ng exact answer. And I think that in itself is already um uh I think the explanation na sinasabi na there's no definite answer to those questions is already a definite solution. I think ano na rin yun, parang it it uh, it entitles that philosophy doesn't just hold into a specific concept. Talagang as wide as, I mean, as different as every other life is, ganun din siguro yung philosophy. It doesn't have one answer. Parang it just keeps growing, ganun.
Mm. So parang philosophy doesn't have a definite answers. And 'di ba pansin niyo, like philosophy focuses more on questions, 'di ba? Like philosophy keeps on questioning life. Philosophy keeps on questioning our beliefs. Like that's the main focus of philosophy, questioning. not answering. Ganon. So, siguro one thing about philosophy is that it's not really a study of as a study that has real answers. It is a study in where we keep on questioning those answers, those answers that we think is right. Like we always just have to keep on questioning for us to be able to define in ourselves what life is. Like for example, your question, what life is. Like we always have to keep on questioning. We don't have to answer that yet. We just have to keep on questioning for us to reach an answer for ourselves. Like yung philosophy kasi di siya focus on like group realizations. It's like focused on individuality, like how you perceive things, how you ganon. Wait lang, natatawa ako. Tumatawa si Miguel.
Hindi,
Ganon.
wala. Yun, wala. Hindi sa'yo.
Sige.
Hindi, continue ano. Yung point.
Ano ba? Antayin ba natin si Rafael makauwi?
Alright, so I think understandable naman na, of course, different situation. So in this, since Rafael is driving, I think it would be uncomfortable on his part to share because he might get distracted. So I think that so I think we're all good now for this activity number 2.
Yeah.
So, thank you all for sharing. I'll stop the recording now.